Hi, my name is Kim Swift. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Senior Director of Cloud Gaming here at Xbox Game Studios Publishing. But the agenda for today is ultimately, we want to cover what does Xbox Game Studios Publishing do? Overall, I'm here to represent cloud gaming, so what are the opportunities out there for game developers looking to get into the space? And then finally, I want you to come and develop your game with us here at Xbox Game Studios Publishing. So I'll tell you all about that here in a minute. So XGS Publishing is a first-party publishing organization within Xbox Game Studios. So sometimes different companies call this second-party publishing or first-party publishing. We're focused on working with amazing development partners to create and ship games exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Games that we have published recently are Tell Me Why, Ori and Will of the Wisps, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Our purpose in first-party publishing is to create and operate deeply engaging games that foster meaningful communities. And as a publisher, we want to be the absolute best in supporting our game development partners. At the end of the day, we want to provide best-in-class support and services to our partner developers and give you what you need in order for you to focus on what's important to making your game and having it be a fantastic experience for players. Under general support that you'd expect from a publisher, well, we've got the ability to provide funding and are open to discuss with potential partners what that might look like. First-party support on platform, Xbox, PC, and of course, cloud endpoints. User research support, we have best-in-class UXR here at Microsoft and want to provide our partners with whatever they need to make data-informed decisions. And I'm actually really excited about the UI person that we just hired for our team. And then with marketing, being a first-party published title, we will provide extensive marketing support to make your game stand out when it comes time to be public with the world. Then from a creative consultation perspective, we have the ability to do that with art and design, but ultimately it's important to us that the support that we provide is not intrusive to your process. We ultimately want to make sure that players are having the best experience, but aren't seeking to supplant your creative vision in any way, shape, or form. We want to lend our many years of a combined experience in development and publishing to help you make the best game possible and support your dreams. And then from a business perspective, we hope to provide support for you in examining and committing to a particular business model, exploring the potential opportunities there for maybe monetization, but we want this to be a conversation. Additionally, we can help with the planning of live ops support and work with you to figure out what works for your game. So let's talk a little about technical support. So though both the engineers on the cloud team as well as our central services team in publishing were able to provide extensive technology support, both on the game development side, if you need it, and on the services side. We're here to provide technical consultation on game development as much as it takes and makes sense for your team. And we can evaluate your current systems to make sure it runs the best it can on both Xbox and xCloud and provide potential solutions as well as engineering support. From a services perspective, we're here to help you onboard into our systems, integrate what you need from things like PlayFab, like matchmaking, for example, and provide support for Azure servers and help you ramp into a web presence, for example, when you're ready. This is all really high level, and we have lots of additional materials, so definitely reach out if you're interested. As a games publisher, we're ultimately looking for games that we believe have high levels of engagement, broad appeal, and reach, and the potential to build meaningful communities, champion diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So as part of publishing, our organization ultimately seeks to be in alignment with their overall purpose and mission as, Xbox Game Studios. And we believe that cloud gaming has a huge potential upside for reach and accessibility. Specifically, our mandate on cloud publishing is to partner with world-class game development teams to develop cloud-native games to bring unprecedented experiences to players that can only be achieved with cloud technology. So what is the cloud? Well, cloud computing refers to a vast network of remote servers around the globe, which are hooked together and meant to operate as a single ecosystem. Rather than all calculations and rendering for games being done locally on a hard drive on, say, a PC or a phone or console, these calculations are done in the cloud and then are piped down to people's devices. Cloud gaming is ultimately still in its infancy, and the way that I personally think about it is using the example of Netflix. So I don't know if you remember, but when Netflix just got started, they ultimately believed in streaming movies and television through the internet. But at the time when Netflix was formed, internet speeds were not what they needed in order to send packets fast enough to support streaming. So instead, they sent physical packets in the mail in the form of DVDs, and they had to wait for the technology to catch up with their vision, but they were ready for it. Okay, so let's talk about cloud gaming opportunities and what we as Xbox Game Studios Publishing define as cloud first. Essentially, we see it falling into 3 buckets. The first is ubiquity. In my opinion, this is the low-hanging fruit for cloud content. With streaming games, you can play the latest and greatest on an absolute potato of a laptop or a phone, as long as you have a solid internet connection. xCloud is currently kind of taking this approach with their offerings and roadmap for the future. And for us here in Xbox Game Studios, I'm really looking at it and asking the question of how do we take ubiquity to the next level, oh, that term, right? And how are the games that we're developing adapt not only to the endpoint, but to the psychological modality of what a player wants to do on a given device? And how do we think about cycles of engagement by time investment based on those modalities? So what does it look like for content? As a developer, there are some really great upsides to cloud streaming. First, being able to build once and reach multiple endpoints is a huge plus. If you're primarily making an Xbox game and use xCloud, suddenly you have a browser build, a PC build, and a mobile build. And if you've ever developed with mobile, you know that there's like this headache of having so many different phones to test against, particularly on Android. With cloud, again, it's just the one build with no hardware dependencies or minimum spec needs. From a player standpoint, the implications of cloud streaming are pretty great. With no downloading necessary, this allows for easy jump in, jump out of players, so it's quick to get your friends involved to join you in your game. It's also easy to share things with other players, so this unlocks potential for viral distribution from content creators sharing UGC and opens a whole new world of potential social modalities. And one developer-centric piece too is that streaming allows for remote iterative development for things like team playtests, which again, you don't have to have the whole team download gigs of data like, oh, well, we'll do the playtest, I guess, in like 6 hours. And it will allow you to prepare a way to play almost immediately. Just open a browser and you've got the build. The second is using cloud AI systems to advance what developers can do using technology like machine learning, natural language processing, and reinforcement learning. So what can we do to expedite game development pipelines? Creating quality content, as I'm sure you know, is very difficult, time-consuming, and takes a lot of people. So are there ways that we can democratize the creation of content by using AI systems? And what are the innovations that we can devise to create new ways for players to interact or experiences that are more dynamic and convincing? From a cloud AI standpoint, there are many potential areas to dig into, and some of the ones that we're sort of in the early stages of investigating from a developer perspective are QA machine learning testing bots to rapidly expand scalability of game testing, toxicity detection and filters. This is particularly important if you're planning on having UGC for your game. And machine learning to improve procedural game components, like can we amp up a roguelike in ways that we've never seen before? And from a player perspective, how can we bring those innovative and immersive moments to them? How do we use technology that we see every day and adapt them to games? So, for example, can we use natural language processing that we see in things like Cortana and Siri and use them to create more convincing NPC characters? And how do we take the same algorithms that are used to sell us things on social media and instead use those as a way to improve social pipelines to find friends or get really specific on recommending relevant content to our players. And the final bucket is augmenting real-time calculations. I call this being in the business of all the things. So how can we use network cloud-based blades and PCs to increase the capacity, detail, and fidelity of graphics rendering, number of AI agents, randomization of levels or features, incredible special effects like destruction, all the things. I really think this is what people think of when they hear cloud gaming. So at one point, I was working in a cloud title and was asked the question, like, how do we build massive concurrent scale for players and make that fun and engaging? How can we have more players in a space than we've ever seen before? And these are areas that are definitely ones that require longer term investment, but we're excited to start looking forward and driving what that possibility space could be. So here are some thoughts around increasing bandwidth of runtime calculations. Again, these are examples of potential areas of development and not already implemented yet. And as I previously mentioned, these are longer-term investments that are a bit further out in the horizon, but we're really excited to talk to developers now and start to figure out what are the things that they want to use and what makes them excited. So I split this into two categories, complexity and connectivity. For complexity, there's physics simulations, graphics simulation, and NPC AI quantity and quality, and procedural building. And there's things that we can do too as well of, well, what if we don't have everything being done in the cloud and we actually just split off components like, say, AI or physics and have those being done in the cloud while everything else is being done client-side to free up more cycles to get that more complex and interesting physics calculation. And then from a connectivity standpoint, again, as I mentioned before, like how do we get so many players in one space, make that fun, engagement, and entertaining, and then what types of new social modalities is that going to unlock for us? Okay, so here is my CTA. Come develop your game with us. So we're a first-party publisher, and we're really looking to work with game developers to help them create cloud-first titles of their dreams. And when it comes to the types of developers that we're currently seeking overall in Xbox Game Studios Publishing, and in particular for the cloud branch that we're currently growing with my team, here's what we're looking for in our partners. We want people to be passionate about cloud gaming and new technologies. We're excited to find developers that are just as passionate about exploring the potential of cloud gaming as we are. And we want to work with developers that are excited to dive into the tech stack and want to experiment with us. We're looking for folks that are ambitious. We want partners that are comfortable with taking risks inherent in a new technology space. And this doesn't necessarily mean, hey, this is a massive, expansive AAA. It can also mean small, focused, and experimental. I come from a background of doing games of smaller scope to really hone in on a technological breakthrough and provide a very tight, cohesive experience. And so we're looking for those too. And then on the flip side, larger flagship titles that are broader in scope are of interest to us as well. I think there's room for both. We're also looking for folks that are collaborative. Ultimately, working in a new space will require lots of communication. We want partners that are comfortable brainstorming with us and can help guide us towards the types of cloud technology that they want to use to move innovation forward. Ultimately, we want to align technical ambition with the creative fulfillment of our partners. So overall, as the new cloud gaming organization in publishing, you'd probably expect us to provide some cloud support. We're here to provide the glue between our new cloud platform with xCloud and you as the developer to get you what you need in order to succeed. We're looking to build an engineering team here on the content side to make sure that we're able to get ahead of problems and have the ability to provide bespoke solutions if necessary. We plan to provide xCloud integration support, assistance with the tech stack, cloud-aware APIs, be a liaison overall to xCloud and other cloud teams in Microsoft. We want to be able to propose features. We want to expedite our development team's needs and make sure that they're on roadmaps in a timely fashion. And we also want to be able to anticipate delays or issues with the platform and help to develop mitigation strategies in partnership with you as the developer and with xCloud. And then finally, we want to engineer specific technical solutions for our development partners. As I mentioned with our engineering team, we plan to build cloud-native tools, services, and pipelines. We also want to be able to lead co-dev opportunities both inside and outside of Xbox. And as I said previously, as an organization, as publishing, we want to spot opportunities and be able to apply resources towards expediting things for our development partners because we want to help you fulfill your creative vision. So, in conclusion, I'll bring you back to this slide about wanting to create engaging games that foster meaningful communities and be the best publisher for our game development partners. And add, provide best-in-class support to help game development partners create ambitious, innovative cloud games that take advantage of what cloud has to offer with regards to ubiquity, cloud AI, and increased runtime calculations. Together, we'll push cloud technology forward in new and exciting ways. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or want to learn more about the work that we're doing at Xbox Game Studios and Publishing, please figure out a way to reach out to us. And before I go, if you're interested in learning more about cloud gaming here at Xbox, a few folks from xCloud are giving presentations as well, so check out their talks. For example, reach more players with Xbox Cloud Gaming, getting started with Xbox game streaming, your first steps to a cloud-aware game. Cheers.